So anybody out there, and I got a sibling or two that doesn't drink, you're going to die sooner. And that's just the way it is. Well, hey, thanks for watching again our happy hour this week. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm going to try to blow through some funny things that happened. Also some security type things that happened that's going on with social media. Hijacked applications in Google phones or Android phones. So there's a couple things going on. So hopefully we'll have some good things to talk about. First of all, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I know I did. I had some family in town. My wife's family was in town. We ate really, really well all week, and we're getting back on track with the health stuff now before the Christmas holiday hits. Callie, how was yours?
It was good.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. What kind of turkey did you make? We made a fried one. I haven't had one in a while.
I've had a fried turkey. We just made a regular turkey.
Regular?
Yeah.
I think I'm good with fried. I had one fried one. I think I'm good with fried for a couple of years now.
The turkey's never my favorite part, though, of the Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like, everybody, you have to have the turkey, but it's not like I only put a few little pieces on the plate.
I think I agree with you. I don't think I agreed a long time ago, but now I think I agree. I like the stuffing. I like all the other things that people make.
Yeah.
I smoked some ribs that morning. We had ribs for lunch, and then we had turkey in the afternoon. So we had a day of gluttony.
Yeah.
Did you go out for Black Friday?
Mm-mm.
I didn't go out for Black Friday. I shopped online a little bit.
I've leave it to online. Even the online now has Black Friday deals. Like, you don't even have to go out to the store. They do their Cyber Monday starting on Friday, or they'll do a new deal on Friday and then a new one on Monday. And even on Monday, they'll leave it for the week sometimes.
So you got Louis Vuitton then?
Oh, yeah. Did they have a deal?
I have no idea.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't know if you saw some deal. And
I did not.
No.
How about...
Something I don't know?
No, I don't. I know nothing. I'm not on the Louis market right now. How about Cyber Monday? Did you do anything there?
Yes. No, I didn't.
See, I don't think I bought anything on Cyber Monday. Like, the weeks leading up to Black Friday were good. Cyber Monday was, in a way, a letdown. I didn't see anything that looked great.
My parents got me tennis shoes. I always have to find them what I want and then, like, get them to the deal, because my mom's not, like, super into online shopping. Because that wasn't, like, a thing back then. Like, so she always thinks, like, someone's going to steal her credit card on the internet, because she works, like, in that area.
Oh, Susie.
So, my parents bought my boyfriend something on Cyber Monday for his Christmas present. But
cool.
No, I got my sister a present, but I don't think it was really a Cyber Monday deal. It might have just been, like, a holiday deal.
Yeah, I've seen some decent stuff, just nothing that would made me want to buy. So, last week we finally got our drone certification, so I got the temporary certificate in the mail this week, or in the email this week. The real one's coming hopefully soon. So that's why we have our drone in the background here. We've already been practicing flying it around. Already had to submit a waiver for one of our clients. And I'm going to actually put this over here because we forgot to put it on. Can you hear me okay on that, by the way? Should be able to hear me. So we got our drone. We had our drone up in the air in South Park a little bit, playing around with it. I had it at a client location this week and getting used to it. It's really cool. It's just finding places to go with it to practice so that you're not annoying anybody and looking like a creeper. So I'm just playing around. We'll see where we go. I have good ideas, but I want to know what I'm doing so I don't wreck it into anything. So on to the beer. I am drinking the Erie Brewing Company Railbender Ale. It's a Scottish style ale, and I've never had a Scottish style ale before. It's good. I think that anybody looking for a comprehensive beer review from me is not going to get one. It's either I like it or I don't like it, I think is about the quality of the beer reviews you're going to get here. I would say Scottish style ale from Erie Brewing Company, I give it a thumbs up. So we're good with this one. So on to a great story that popped up on my newsfeed on Facebook last week, but it's not new. It's actually from December of 2013, so it's 2 years old now, or 3 years old now. It's a study that suggests people who don't drink alcohol are more likely to die young. So anybody out there, and I got a sibling or two that doesn't drink, you're going to die sooner. And that's just the way it is.
Is this one of the fake news, maybe?
No, this isn't fake news. This is a study of 1,824 study participants.
Okay, it's real.
Yes. In a decent-sized study group there. Only 41% of the moderate drinkers died prematurely, compared to a whopping 69% of non-drinkers.
But it's not like you can go out and drink like heavily.
Well, wait.
It's not like that.
But wait, there's more. Wait. Meanwhile, the heavy drinkers, so moderate drinkers, if I remember, because I'm not looking at the article, moderate drinkers are people that drink 1 to 3 per day, which if you're answering a questionnaire, I mean, that's almost alcoholism right there.
Yeah, that's moderate. Moderate.
That's moderate.
Like you go out every weekend.
No, that's moderate, like 1, 2, 3 per day. Okay, so the heavy drinkers actually fared better than those who abstained with a 60%.
That's an alcoholic is a heavy drinker.
Yes, a heavy drinker, an alcoholic, had a 60% mortality rate compared to the 69% of the people that are teetotalers. That's crazy, and I got some people that if they read this story would be like, yeah, I'm living forever. So yeah, crazy and making a lot of people happy. I am sure there's a lot of people in the bar right now going, yep, doing okay. All right, so then in another just great story that is from 2015, July of 2015, and I'm just reading it now. Some guy out of Oregon, I believe, University of Oregon or Oregon State, came up with seaweed that tastes like bacon. When you fry it, it tastes like bacon. It's a red seaweed. He at the time was growing like 30 pounds a week or something like that. And the kicker is that it has twice the nutritional value of kale. And my wife's been making kale in my house recently. I don't dislike a lot of food. I really dislike kale. I cannot eat kale. But if there is something that tastes like bacon and has twice the nutritional value of kale, I am putting that in everything. Babe, look for that in the supermarket. So my last food thing, this summer we got to check out Morcia in Lawrenceville. Justin Severino, both of his restaurants in Pittsburgh that I've been to are awesome. Some of my favorite places to go. And Bon Appetit just did a little story on him, calling his restaurant Morcia, I think number 4 in the nation. They named it the best charcuterie plate in America. They called him the most underrated chef in America. And man, I mean, if you've not been to Morcia, go. It is an amazing dinner. I went there with my wife and one of her best friends a couple of months ago, and it was incredible. And we walked out of that place really, really happy. So absolutely check it out. Speaking of happy, there's not a lot of people happy about a nativity set that's being sold on Amazon right now for $130. There's a hipster nativity set, and this link on Mashable, and I am sorry if anybody clicks on this link and goes to Mashable because their advertising on that website sucks. They are not paying attention to what's going on their website. You can't read an article without having to scroll up and down 5 times.
I didn't even get through. I wanted to see what this was, and I clicked off the screen because I couldn't. It's
awful. Mashable. You're not watching this, but stop it. So anyway, this hipster nativity set. There's a Mary's making a smushy face to taking a selfie, and there's a 100% organic cow.
There's the USDA organic sticker on the cow.
And a sheep wearing a sweater. There's the wise men are on Segways.
Amazon Prime boxes.
Yeah, right. So they're bringing the frankincense and myrrh in Amazon Prime boxes. So it's some people are taking it a little bit too far with how upset they're getting about it, I believe. But I think it's funny. I would so do it to prank on somebody that would get upset about it, I think. So now something really cool, and our Comcast bill just went up. I just found out from Lynn that DirecTV, AT&T has come out with a streaming DirecTV plan that right now for a limited time you can get for, I believe, $35 a month, and HBO is an extra $5. And you get like 100 channels. It's very well compared to PlayStation Vue and Sling TV. I'm actually thinking about doing it. We were cord cutters for a little while and just had Comcast internet for a while. we ended up getting Comcast again to watch Pirates and Penguins playoffs. And my kids are really into the sports, so I enjoy watching the Penguins games with them. But I don't know. It's not going to kill us what we spend on cable, but I'm really not stomaching it. So I think we might give the DirecTV a shot and see what happens. Now, in the social media world now, Instagram is now notifying people when you're taking screenshots of their photos. Now, it's not happening on the regular Instagram photos, but it's on the temporary photos that disappear.
It's their Instagram stories. I thought it was on the regular photos, and I was like, so I tried it with my sister and it didn't work, and then we realized it's just for the stories. It's like Snapchat. It's
for stories, and it's for the temporary ones also. I don't remember what they're calling that.
But they're calling
it's their Snapchat. Yeah, right.
Inbox them to somebody, and it's like they go away anyway.
They're disappearing ones. Yeah.
Them. It's the same exact thing as Snapchat. So, but they're just releasing it now, which I think you could always see the screenshots. I don't know if they just updated it, but they're just releasing that like information now.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know they did that. I know there are apps now for those people that want to do the Snapchat stuff but not have people screenshot it. There are apps that work like Snapchat but will block a screenshot. You can't actually screenshot it. There's some sort of program running back there that blocks it from happening. So it's pretty cool. There was a story that malware was using Facebook and LinkedIn images to hijack your PC. And it was installing ransomware, the stuff that locks up all your files. That is actually not true. Facebook has released a response to the article. Why are you making that face?
Oh, nothing. Just the computer.
Oh, okay. Facebook actually released a response to this article that pinned it on bad Chrome extensions. So if you have Google Chrome and you have Chrome extensions installed into it, some of these Chrome extensions were not good and were allowing photos to deliver these viruses into your computer. And Facebook has already blocked the extension, so it's pretty much over. But it sort of blends into this next article now that there's there's 1 million and growing Google accounts being hit with malware, and it's coming through the Play Store. I'm sorry, I misspoke. There are apps in the Play Store that Google has removed, but there are apps that are from outside of the Play Store that people are downloading into their phones that are installing this malware, and then it's pulling all the information from their Google accounts. And it was also utilizing some apps that were in the Play Store that are now gone. So, I think that it comes down to a matter of just being safe with what you download on your phone. I've liked Apple for that reason specifically, amongst others, that unless I jailbreak my phone, will not be able to download any applications that Apple has not approved to be on my phone, which I'm okay with. I don't need to do anything crazy on my phone, so I am much less likely to get a virus or any kind of malware on my phone. So I'm okay with that, and I think that's the problem you run into when you can run unauthorized or programs from outside of the Play Store on an Android phone. But also with Chrome extensions, if you use Chrome, if you use even Internet Explorer, any plugins or extensions that you have in your browser, review them every so often. And in fact, this article made me review mine when I read it, just to make sure that there's nothing that was installed that you don't want to be there. So you might have, the Honey extension to get deals on Amazon or whatever. That's okay. But make sure there's no extensions in there that are not reputable, that might be pulling information out of your computer that you don't want anybody to have. And then the last thing we have going on in regard to mobile devices are people starting to get spammy spammy calendar invitations on their iPhones. And it's adding things to their iPhone. They say the first thing you don't want to do is don't decline the invitations, because if you decline the invitation, then that person on the other end of that knows your account is real and will just continually bombard you with additional spam calendar invitations. So this article talks about what to do if you start getting these, and I guess Apple's trying to work out a solution so that this can not continue to happen. But, you know, I don't know. We'll see how that works out. So I don't know anybody that's been getting this, and I hope I never do, because that would be really obnoxious. And then we talked about the fake news stuff, and I don't think we have this on our. Hey, by the way, how do you like my little thing over here? Right, the little topics. I don't think we have the fake news things on there, right? Because this was just a late edition. Yeah, this was a late edition. So we did a little thing about fake news last week or 2 weeks ago, and right after that, somebody reported that CNN showed 30 minutes of hardcore porn on their affiliate or their station in the Boston area, and it made its way around Facebook for at least a day before it was verified to be completely false. It never happened. So USA Today had this story that that we're going to post here that talks about how fast fake news spreads and everybody believes it.
What websites are they coming from?
This was actually reputable websites. When I originally was going to do this story this week.
Does the reputable website hear the fake news story and then decide to write on it? Or how does it get onto a reputable website? It's not like The Onion where like everybody knows they're writing a fake news story.
Yeah. Somebody tweeted something out and had a photo of porn with a CNN crawl underneath it and said, oh, you know, CNN's been showing porn for 20 minutes now or whatever. And I think it just went from there.
Whoever's writing the article for CNN or
no back-checking?
The reputable source or whatever needs to find someone at CNN and ask them a question, needs to find somebody else who saw it.
Right.
You can't just write an article based off of a picture on a tweet.
And that's been something that I've heard people in the news talk about for years now, is that because of the internet and the speed at which information goes around, everybody's trying to jump to be first.
There's some way you need to find somebody else.
To verify.
Have some way to verify. You can't just see one tweet and think, whoa, let's write an article off this one tweet of trolls.
Right. You know, and I actually read an article maybe even a day or two ago, talking about professionalism and professional writing, and the guy spelled perfect wrong in the article. He spelled it prefect. And it's that, and I know I misspell things, or I sometimes miss a typo, but how often do you read an article and you see that? It's because people throw it out there and they never look at it again. There's no editorial process.
I always see grammar problems in things like even books too. Like I find them all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just everybody's trying to get out there and get in front of everybody else, and that's, as long as you're first, it's okay if the quality's not quite great. So, speaking of quality being good, we're doing more daily tips. We're doing some IT tips. This week we talked about securing your business Wi-Fi. If you have any interest in figuring out whether your Wi-Fi is secure or not, check out our Snap Forward page. Over on our Snap Marketing page, we talked about making sure your WordPress site is properly maintained. I don't expect a lot of people to do this themselves, but ask the right questions to your website guy or to your IT provider to make sure that it's being done properly for you. And if you are having problems, chances are some of these things are being missed. So just ask a couple questions and see if they have the right answers for you. You can check it all out on our website, snap-fwd.com. And these two articles are actually the first two that show up at the bottom of the homepage. So on to the more serious stuff we have here. Neil Patel is somebody that we found in the summer as we were doing a social media marketing world seminar. It was like a day-long seminar in San Diego. We did the virtual one here, and we saw him in his discussion, his keynote. I think it was a keynote or it was a breakout session. I don't remember. And he was a very interesting guy. So I started following him, and he had this article about how to know if someone is really rich or if they're just a poser. And I think that this is something that especially the real guys on the internet, like if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk or Grant Cardone, those guys seem to be hypersensitive to being compared to the posers of the internet, the people that drive, because they're always referencing somebody that goes out and rents a Ferrari to do an Instagram video or takes out a loan from his parents to go rent a house or something. And people that buy this extravagant stuff so they can say, look how rich I am, let me coach you how to become so rich. Meanwhile, they don't know anything. So these guys are really hypersensitive. So I don't know if this article came from that sensitivity, but it was actually fairly good. And I'll go through the points real quick. And he starts off by saying, how people try to fake it. There's guys that act bigger, women that act bigger than they really are, act like they have more money than they really do, name drop, talk about how much they do or what they can do for you or whatever, when in reality they're just trying to find somebody else that can do that for them. And in reality, rich people, ultra rich is I think what he references a lot, are not that outgoing. They just sort of hang back and do what they do. They do what they know. They don't wear flashy clothes. And I remember hearing that about the guy, oh my God, his name just flew out of my head, the guy that owns 84, Ed Hardy, right? Is that 84 Lumber, right? So someone once told me, and if you ever watch this, I know you'll know who you are, that he could be in a room, and unless you knew what he looked like, you wouldn't know that he was a billionaire. I
saw him in a room once.
Just wears jeans and like a flannel, and he's an unassuming.
He's rich though.
Like you can tell, like there's little keys.
Yeah, there's something about him, and he's got his grandchildren running around, and I saw him at Nemacolin, and that's why.
Well, yeah, right. So, but he's not, but he's not wearing real big names, and he's just, like the movie stars and the people in social media are doing that, but the general people don't act obnoxious. And then the other thing they don't do is they don't name drop. So they're not going to be like, hey, I was hanging out with, Jerome Bettis last week.
Or like casually just take a photo with a famous person or something that's not name dropping, and it's not but it's just hey, just, they won't come back and tell you about it or anything. They're just people I really think are cool. Yeah. They're
yeah. Well, and it goes back to the no, actually, it's the next one. They don't talk about their money or possessions. And then there's a part of this article, I don't remember which section it was in, and I'm not going to open it up right now. But he was talking about, when you go to a networking event and somebody says, well, how big is your company? They're just trying to figure out if you're a good prospect, if you're, how wealthy you have it. Depending on how big you are, it's how much money you have, right? And I hate it, mainly because we're a smaller company, and I know that's where people are going with it. But, it's...
Christopher Mizzini says, I was hanging with Nick Forrest.
Yeah, and he's the guy that was telling me about Hardy, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Joe Hardy.
Joe Hardy. Ed Hardy. Ed Hardy's the clothing. Oh, man, why did I do that? Yeah. I'm sorry, Joe. No, I'm not name dropping him.
When I did see him at Nemacolin, my parents were like, oh, that's Joe Hardy. And I was like, the man who makes those shirts? Oh.
That's why you agreed with me. Oh, yeah. God. So anyway, all right, let's move away. Let's move away from this because that's embarrassing. So they don't talk about their money or their possessions, which I actually disagree with. And I think it's Grant Cardone that says that if you don't talk about money with your friends and you're not comfortable talking about money, it's because you have some sort of a mental issue about it. And people that have money don't have a mental issue about it. They can talk about it because they talk about making more. They talk about how they handle it. They'll actually have open conversations because it's not a big thing, right? What do you...
He said, never playing Mystic Rock again.
I know. Yeah, well, we'll see. So, I don't know about talking about the money or possessions, but back to the networking thing. So, he talks about a time when somebody walked up to him and asked him what he does, and he goes, I just have this little internet business, and he kind of just walks away or has just a very surface conversation about it. And that's kind of where I'm at with it too, because, if somebody asks me what I do, I say, we do IT management. I don't even try to go into it, and I try to just keep it more friendly and see if it organically turns into something.
What's your company if you don't want to talk about yourself?
Yeah, it's weird. It's just because it's almost like somebody wants you to, like you're putting on an audition or whatever's going on. It's just, I don't know. I'm not comfortable with it myself either. So, I know we do a good job. I don't need to tell every stranger or prove to every stranger that we need to, or that we do. And that goes to, they don't care if you've heard of them or not, which I can understand. I think somebody with a lot of money probably doesn't want to go around telling everybody how much money they have, because then they're just going to have people coming to them trying to get money from them, right? So you just kind of...
They don't care care if you've heard of them, because if you say I'm, you know, this person with like a lot of money, I'm Gary Vaynerchuk, and people who've heard of him, they're like, oh, like I know who you are. You own this company. I know how much money you make. Like, but then if you don't know him, they're just like, great. I'm someone who you don't know. You don't know how much money you make. This is great. But either way, you know how famous I am, or not how famous. You know what I'm worth, or you don't know, and that's even better because now I'm nobody to you. You know.
Well, and they don't care because they're okay. They're probably satisfied with where they are in life, right? So they don't need. They're not looking for celebrity. They don't need everybody to know. Hey, I don't need everybody to know I'm Nick Boris. I know blah blah blah. I'm just, you know, I'm okay with where I'm at, and I think maybe that's where they are. And I love this one. They hang out with people who force them to level up. So you hang out with smarter people. Like he references somebody that said, if you're the smartest person in the room, leave the room. You know, and I love that, because when you talk to somebody that's smarter than you, and they kind of like make things explode in your brain, where you're just thinking, oh my God, why didn't I think of that way? Or holy shit, this guy really knows what he's talking about. And then listening, you know, going back to that statement, what the hell's he doing here? You know, like I talked to somebody a couple of weeks ago that, you know, early 20s and has just a monster company, and I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, you know, like that's just, and he was down to earth, and it was interesting. It was interesting. I don't want to go too into it. And I like this one also. They tend to talk about what they are learning or experiencing. So they're not complaining, and they're not complaining about other people. They're not complaining about who did what to who. They're not talking about all the crap that's going wrong in the world. They're talking about what they're learning or what they're experiencing, what they, the whole, like with Elon Musk, and he's talking about virtual reality and how this might be a virtual world we're living in right now. And like, that's just like, they're just thinking about stuff and not talking about, oh, well, this guy cut me off on the street the other day, and Sally called me a whatever, and, you know, because it's not worth their time. It's a waste. It's not expanding their minds. I love that concept. So, yeah, it's cool. It's cool. But, you know, I wonder in the world that we're in right now if that's part of the problem. So all of these things, people that have become successful, that have done a lot for themselves, that, that have made themselves good, successful people. They made themselves a success. They are not the people, from what I see, they're not the people that are leading our country, our businesses. They are, and I'm sure they're leading the businesses, and there's probably examples of their businesses probably run well, right? But what the voices you hear, the voices that are popular on the internet, are all of the negative, very polarizing figures. And I'm wondering if we had some more of these people that we're describing in this article to speak up and actually try to get more involved in what's going on rather than hanging back. I'm wondering if that would have a different impact on what's going on right now, if they were to take more of a leadership role in society rather than in their own personal affairs or companies. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if that's the case. I'm just, because everything we hear now is so polarizing. It's Trump or Hillary, and there's no in the middle. There's either side, and it's all hate. And I'm wondering if there's, if there's more middle ground, if these people were the ones that could be there. And if they were there, would anybody listen? Because it seems like everybody wants polarizing stuff. So then that leads me to the book I just finished a couple of weeks ago, Leaders Eat Last. Simon Sinek, we talked about him the last happy hour. Holy crap, is this guy great. And I wish he did more on YouTube so I can get more fresh content from him, because I watch Gary Vaynerchuk, I watch a lot of other guys on YouTube, but I'd love to hear more from Simon Sinek. This book, he talks about people being social animals. He talks about, the chemical responses we have to certain situations. But it's really the conversation about ethical leadership in companies, where we came from the Great Depression to how we got to where we are now through the baby boomers and the millennials and the short attention span that everybody has. And, that circle of safety that people don't seem to have in the places they work right now. And how when you don't have that safety factor because you're worried about being fired or because everybody's trying to one-up each other. It's all an internal competition. That cortisol response that it has, it creates this stress and it creates this dynamic that's just toxic. And it's hard. He compares with different companies throughout the book, and one of the ones that stuck with me was Jack Welch, who, as long as I can remember, Jack Welch has always been sort of a legend because he, ran GE and, did well and, made a ton of money for the company and he was a great leader, blah, blah, blah. But when you look at it, one of the tactics he used was to every year fire the bottom 10%. So he constantly was churning the bottom 10% of the company rather than trying to help them get better or whatever. And there was this constant fear of being at the bottom. And then you go compare him to a Jeff Sinegal who ran, or maybe even still runs, Costco, and how in tough times, rather than laying people off, he would do more to help his employees because he felt that he owed his employees more in times that were tough. And it's an interesting concept. And through the book, I was wondering the entire time. It's great in theory, but some people don't want to be led, and I think that's a conversation that I need to have with somebody to figure out, at what point do you disengage from an employee? And I think but there's something that somebody said to me at one point, that if you treat, and it relates to marriage and employees, where if you treat the relationship as if there's no way out, you're forced to make it work, and if you do that, it ends up better in the long run. So, if you're married and you don't look at it like there's a way out, you have to make it work. Divorce doesn't exist. Then you behave.
When you word it like that, it sounds better. The first way sounded like there's no way out of this.
Well, I know.
When you word it like divorce is there's no divorce. That
right.
Sounds
right. So okay. So say you're married.
I laughed a little bit. When you look at a marriage like there's no way out, I kind of laughed a little
yeah.
Oh.
It doesn't sound great, right?
It doesn't sound like theory.
So okay. So let's go that way. Let's go with that way. So divorce is not an option. So you have to be in the marriage. So then you would behave differently than if divorce is an option. And for a lot of people, an easy option, right? And so if there's the little things that happen day in and day out that you're like, oh, screw it, I'm just going to leave her. Where if you're just like, well, I can't do that, I need to make this work, you behave differently. And it's the same way with employees, and that's I think it touched on it in the book, but it's something I've seen in other places also, is if you look at employees like people and that you want to help them get better, now on the flip side of it, the employee has to look at it that way also too, right? And how do they want to make it work? Because we've had people here in the past that we've tried to offer, training or whatever, and that if they're not, you can try to engage them in different ways, but if they're not empowered or motivated to take advantage of it, how do you, at that point, what more can you do? I'd love to talk to somebody that's been in that situation and found creative ideas, because it's difficult. It's a difficult thing to deal with. But the whole book was interesting. It was very inspiring, and it reinforced a lot of what I felt about leadership. And I think that I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident in my instincts with leadership and business ownership after reading about how other people do things, because you can, in a vacuum, you can be influenced by things that you see day in and day out, rather than by, the prime examples, the best examples. So this book, Leaders Eat Last, was a great one, and now I'm on Great by Choice, and we have a link for the book at Amazon, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through this one, and it's really good. It was hard to get into immediately after Simon Sinek, because I was listening to their audiobooks. I listened to them in the car, and Simon Sinek is so engaging to listen to that Great by Choice for the first hour was a little hard. It was a little slow to get started. But now listening to it, it's really good. And in fact, I'm gonna have to buy it because I need to go over certain sections of it. buy the hard copy. But it revolves around three main principles of what makes a good leader, a good business owner. And it's fanatic discipline that he compares to a 20-mile march, so that you march 20 miles every day, even in good or in bad times. So you don't, even when you have a tailwind, you don't overdo it so that you're exhausted when you get a headwind. And productive paranoia, which he describes as paranoid neurotic freaks. So like Bill Gates was constantly always looking for, in this situation, what could happen, what could go wrong, everything that could possibly go wrong, no matter how far-fetched. He was always thinking about it and trying to prepare for it in some way. And that's one that I can kind of relate to, because I'm always analyzing risk in every little situation. Whether it happens at home, with my kids, with myself, in my business, especially in the business on the IT side of things, we're looking at some goofy risks. And a lot of times our customers are going, well, that's never going to happen. Well, yeah, but it's not going to happen on my watch either, right? So it's that and it's something that everybody says, calm down, it's never going to happen, whatever. But for me, this book has been validating for me, because now, okay, I'm a paranoid, neurotic freak in certain ways as far as risk goes, and I'm okay with it. And I'm much more okay with it after this book. And the last one is empirical creativity, firing bullets versus cannonballs. So you fire in a company, as a company, you fire bullets instead of investing wholeheartedly into an idea without any real empirical data. You fire bullets to test things out, and you judge how it goes. And I think it's great, and I compare this to the companies that they say, okay, we're going to go this direction, and they go. I don't even want to go into that. I'm not going to take that direction right now. But where you basically just say, okay, we think we need to try to do this. We're going to take a small stab at it and see what happens before we invest our futures into this. And they identify like three types of risk as one of the things that with these companies, I'm starting to stutter here. What they found with a lot of these companies, that they had fanatic discipline, they had this productive paranoia, they used this empirical creativity, and when they identified the right thing with the bullet, then they fired the cannonball when they had the right data to go by. And they also did a good job of avoiding risk, and they found three types of risks. Deathline risk, which are risks that could severely damage your organization, and that's where I was kind of going with the cannonball thing, is that you don't want to go in a direction that fire a cannonball is something that might ruin the company if it goes wrong. There's asymmetric risk, which is risk with greater potential downside than upside. So you don't take a risk that could, cost $10,000 when it could really only make you $2,000, to be simple about it. And then there's the uncontrollable risk, the risk that's exposed the organization to things that they have little ability to manage or control. So, that's that idea that, why do it? If it's something just stupid, if it's something that, there's a minimal chance of hitting the home run, then, there's no reason to. And they found that the majority of their companies did not take risks. They were not the frontline innovators. They were slow, steady, always tried to be consistent, which is one of our big things right now, consistency. Always has been, but now we're focusing on it this year. They identified these companies and they compared them to these companies that did not do what these other companies did. Intel compared to AMD, Progressive Insurance compared to Safeco, and they made some very interesting comparisons, and it was great. It's a great book. I have about 2 hours left in the audiobook. Can't wait to buy the hardback. I'm going to go back and review some of the other stuff. If you're into being the top 10% of your industry or the top 1% of your industry, there's concepts in here that I'm sure you would love, and we're taking some of them already, and it's just validating to me like the productive paranoia, validating how I already feel about things, and I can keep going with it, so I'm cool with it. So I'm enjoying it. And I'm looking for a new book now because I'm going to be done with this one this week. I'm thinking about going back to Simon Sinek. I think I might go to Start With Why. I have a couple of books. There's there's a something about habit. There's a book about the power of habit or something like that I have on my wish list also. So I have a couple of books that I'm going to look at. I think I might go back to Simon Sinek though. The guy's pretty inspiring. So I think I'm going there. Do you have anything going on this coming week?
No.
No? I don't really either. We have another friend coming into town. She'll be here for the weekend, I believe, with her daughter, if I'm not mistaken. So that's that happening.
Is she Nicholas's age, though?
I don't know. I didn't ask a whole lot of questions. We had family in town. I had my family in town. We had Lynn's family in town. Mm-hmm. So I've been just trying to concentrate on work and not get too off track. So I don't know. We're getting our tree tonight, our Christmas tree. We're going to do that. And I know the rest of the weekend Lynn's going to be pretty much going out, and I'm going to be hanging out with the boys. Probably try to get the drone up one more time. Hopefully the weather holds up one day. Next week, I don't know. I mean, aside from work, I think we have a couple of weeks where we're going to be able to get some work in. We could not get any vendors to call us back the past couple of weeks. Everybody's completely mentally checked out.
He said eat the frog first.
Eat the Frog. Lynn has that book, actually.
I didn't know if it was a book or if he was telling you to go eat a frog.
Eat the Frog. Go eat a frog.
I want to read that You Are a Badass book.
Lynn has that one too. Yeah. I have The Slight Edge sitting on my nightstand at home. I got to read that one. And I have to read the storyboarding book that we have. I've got a lot of books I need to get through. I know. I got to get on it. That's why I don't watch TV, because I can't get through all the books I have. And meanwhile, you want to talk about. There's a guy on the internet right now that occasionally, because I watch Gary Vaynerchuk, there's a guy that pops up on my YouTube account and on my Facebook that claims to read a book a day, and every one of his videos is him walking through a mansion, and about all the 85 rooms he has and blah blah blah, and he's telling you like these 3 things that he can do to make you rich, and he seems like a complete con artist, and maybe he's not. But
do you know what his name is?
I do know his name. I just don't want to say it right now. Yeah, because I'm completely bashing the guy. I think he looks like a complete poser. And I'm sure he does have money. And he's taken some pictures where he's hanging out with other people that I know have a lot of money or celebrities. But his approach is just so shallow that it's awful. So I click on him every time he comes up on my page just to charge him or make sure it costs him a couple of bucks. So besides, I don't have a whole lot going on. Hopefully people are answering their phones these couple of weeks so we can get some work done. But I don't have a whole lot more going on other than that. We got to think about what our daily tips are going to be next week. I'm going to have to come up with those tomorrow. And if you have anything you want to hear about, let me know. I think that's it. There's not a whole lot going on. Got some birthdays coming up. I'm going to try to go on a date with my wife one time before Christmas hits. I think that's about it. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that's all we have. I think next week, one of the things we're going to talk about are the 5 toxic personalities successful people avoid. So if you're anything like me, toxic people make you want to run for the hills, and negative attitudes and that kind of crap. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of other goofy stuff to talk about. So I don't know what kind of beer I'm going to have because we are fresh out of beer. We'll have to find a new beer to drink, maybe a holiday beer. And we will see you next week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching the happy hour, and enjoy yourself. Bye.